Hello everyone. This video presents a notable event that happened on each day from the past week in history. On September 24th, 1884, Hugo Schmeisser was born in Jena in what was then the German Empire. He would go on to everlasting fame, or infamy if you prefer, as the man that invented the assault rifle. Did you think the assault rifle inventor was Mikhail Kalashnikov, the Russian that invented the AK-47? Or perhaps you thought that Eugene Stoner, inventor of the M16 AR-15 family of assault rifles, invented the genre. Schmeisser beat both of those famous weapons designers by coming up with the STG-44 during World War II for the German Wehrmacht, a mid-power rifle that could fire either semi-automatically, one shot at a time, or fully automatic, like a regular machine gun. The name given to his invention was Sturmgewehr, which in German means assault rifle, so his invention also was the birth of the nomenclature so often thrown around in the news and political debates today. On September 25, 1961, the state of Wisconsin first required any new automobile made starting in 1962 to be equipped with front seat safety belts. While Nash Motors first offered this common-sense device in 1949, the rest of the United States was not required to have seatbelt-equipped cars until 1962, with shoulder belts required as of 1968. Despite all cars having seatbelts, drivers and passengers rarely wore them, even when annoying buzzers were included to remind people to wear the hated belts. New York paved the way with a law requiring seatbelt use in a moving vehicle on a public road, and all other states eventually followed except one. New Hampshire is the lone holdout state that does not require all drivers and passengers to wear seatbelts, with the exception of people under the age of 18. Do you believe seatbelt use should be required by law? On September 26, 46 BC, Roman dictator Julius Caesar dedicated a temple to Venus Genetrix, a temple he promised the goddess while fighting the Battle of Pharsalus. Today we ask you, who would you dedicate a temple to? We graciously supply a few suggestions, although you may freely pick your own. Colonel Harlan Sanders, the godfather of fried chicken. Eminem, the rap god. Michael Phelps, the modern Olympian water god. Philo Farnsworth, the inventor of the first fully functional and complete all-electronic television system. Teresa Bellissimo, the alleged creator of buffalo wings. And finally, the sun, because George Carlin said so. As a question for my students and subscribers, who or what would you build a temple to? Please let us know in the comments for this video. On September 27, 1944, the Kessel mission, which resulted in the largest loss by a USAAF group on any mission in World War II, was so successfully covered up that even today few are even aware it occurred. Today we list several egregious examples of the U.S. government misleading Americans and ask which example is the worst. In 1898, debatable claims about Spain blowing up the USS Maine gave the U.S. an excuse to declare war on Spain. In 1944, during a D-Day rehearsal, information concerning how friendly fire and German E-boats sank 2 ships, damaged 2 more ships, killed 749 and wounded 200 was kept secret. In 2003, lies about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction led to a U.S. invasion of Iraq. And in 2004, Pat Tillman was killed by friendly fire in Afghanistan, although reports claimed the former NFL football player died by enemy fire. On September 28, 2008, the history of space exploration reached a new milestone when SpaceX, a private company, launched their Falcon 1 unmanned spacecraft, the first private spacecraft launched into orbit. SpaceX and the business of private space launches is the project of Elon Musk, an entrepreneur worth a staggering $254 billion, making him the richest man in the world. SpaceX is so far the premier private space launch company, sending various communications satellites into orbit, giving NASA astronauts a ride into space, and even going to and docking with the International Space Station. There are currently 4 private companies, including SpaceX, that deliver cargo to space, another 4 companies, including SpaceX, that deliver crewed spacecraft into space, and 6 private companies that offer suborbital space flights to the paying public, or that will soon, including, of course, SpaceX. On September 29, 2011, a special court convened in India convicted a staggering 269 police and government officials of complicity in an atrocity in which 17 of those convictions were for rape. On June 20th, 1992, almost 2 decades before the eventual convictions, a large group of officials, including 108 police officers, 155 forestry agents, and 6 revenue agents, conducted a raid on a village community suspected of smuggling sandalwood. The so-called search team ransacked private property, looted what they could, destroyed property and livestock, and assaulted scores of villagers, including the rape of 18 women and girls. By the time the convictions finally came down, 54 of the accused had already died, with the surviving convicts being sentenced to jail. On September 30th, 1954, the American submarine USS Nautilus was commissioned for service as the first ever nuclear-powered warship. Serving the U.S. Navy well until 1980, Nautilus immediately gave the U.S. a tremendous advantage in submarine warfare, with the ability to stay submerged many times longer than conventional diesel-electric submarines that had ruled from World War I through the post-World War II era. Setting many records and serving as a testbed for the new technology, Nautilus became the first submarine to make a submerged transit under the North Pole in 1958, a voyage that had to be harrowing. Designated a National Historic Landmark in 1982, Nautilus set a new standard by which submarine fleets would be judged, and any supposed superpower would have to have such submarines. Considering the problems with disposal of used nuclear fuel, should we still have nuclear-powered ships? And finally, a space exploration bonus. On September 25, 1992, NASA launched a probe known as the Mars Observer, alternately known as Mars Geoscience Climatology Orbiter, an unmanned spacecraft sent to study the surface, atmosphere, climate, and magnetic field on Mars. Unfortunately, in August of 1993, communication with the Mars Observer was lost permanently, a costly failure. Today we list several egregious space exploration failures and invite you to tell us which one you think was the worst. Apollo 1 fire on ground, 1967, 3 astronauts died. Soyuz 11 docking decompression, 1971, 3 cosmonauts died. Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, 1986, 7 astronauts died. PepCon disaster, 1988, NASA rocket fuel plant explodes, killing 2 and costing $100 million. And the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster, 2003, 7 astronauts died. As a question for my students and subscribers, which event from this past week in history would you most like to learn more about? Please let me know in the comments section below this video. If you like this video and would like to receive notification of new videos, please feel welcome to subscribe to History in Headlines and become one of our patrons. Your viewership is much appreciated. For image, music, and other credits and attributions for components of the individual videos in this compilation, please see the descriptions of their respective videos, which are linked to in this video's description.